severe law in this world is called UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. It's the Bible of business on the earth. Uniform Commercial Code. Uniform Commercial Code is based directly on Vatican canon law, on the Roman canon law. Consequently, when a ship pulls into port, it pulls in and stops, and it's called in its berth. The ship is now in its berth. Because it is on the law of the high seas, or commercial maritime, UCC commercial law, rules the seas. So when the ship pulls into its berth, the first thing the captain must do is to present a certificate of manifest to the port authorities, which means that the port authorities need to know how much is on this ship that you're bringing into our country and our economy. How many TVs, how many cars, whatever you're bringing, how much are you bringing into our economy? So you have to have a certificate of manifest of what is the value of your ship here. What are you doing? Consequently, when you are born, you come out of your mother's water. Therefore, you must have a birth certificate, a certificate of manifest, because you are a corporation-owned item. You are a human resource. This goes back to the German Nazi concept that every human coming out of their mother's water must be birthed. And therefore you have to have a certificate, a manifest, to see how much this individual is going to make for us in our new world order. I'm telling you that until you understand the laws, the symbols, the emblems, what these words mean, you're never going to suspect how far gone we really are. Did you know, for instance, that your birth certificate is a security on the stock exchange in the New York stock market? Did you know that? Because if you order your birth certificate, get a new one, order your birth certificate, it'll only cost you, sometimes it's free, it'll only cost you a few dollars. Order your birth certificate. On your birth certificate, all birth certificates in this country, on the bottom, it will tell you this is printed on security papers. Do not accept if not on full color security paper. Then on the right hand corner, you will always have a series of numbers, red numbers, printed on the birth certificate. Those numbers are a security stock exchange number on the World Stock Exchange. You go to any good stock office and ask them, check these numbers in your computer and see how much your stock is worth, the certificate. And they will check it on the New York Stock Exchange and find your birth certificate is a stock on the stock exchange in America. Why? Because you are worth money to the international bank that bought you in 1930. We need to wake up. This is serious stuff.
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking tickets or taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So, there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oops-a-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Did you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super! Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your, straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules for things they don't like. Not enough school? Smacking your child? Shouting too loudly? And it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you, but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead, and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man, so you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man, or legal personality, is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy.
This is a certified true copy of my live statement of birth. You can get this by applying for it at the Registrar General. They'll give it to you. And it's very interesting because this is where it all began. This is the foundation document. All identification is generated from this document. And so if the foundation document is no good, anything that's made from it is no good. That means driver's licenses, health cards, everything. Now what they did here, this is exactly what he meant when he said, soon every American will be required to register their biological property. Now your parents didn't realize what they were doing when they filled this out, and these didn't exist before 1933. Birth records were recorded in scripture, and these only came into being in 1933 when they hatched this plan. They created a corporate fiction with a name just like yours. In doing this, they registered and monetized the spirit and soul of a living being. This denotes ownership. And when your parents were tricked into filling this out, they allowed your spirit and your soul to be monetized. And futures were sold on you.
Spirit and soul, I don't...
Now, this is my birth certificate. This is actually a share. See this red number? This A, I'm born in Canada, this is a Class A share. Now, this is called a CUSP number. And all securities require a CUSP number. And that's what this is. And you are held as collateral to secure the debt, which our government owes to international bankers. So you and me and all these people here are actually collateral. And we don't even own our lives. We are chattel. And we believe we're free. I made an application to the Registrar General, and I got my original social insurance application. Now, before they sent it to me, they put a little piece of paper over this before they photocopied it.
We create money. We have created an instrument of value that has no value of its own. And it's just as expensive or inexpensive to print the 20 as it is to print the 1. In January of 1913, in December of 1913, he signed the Federal Reserve Act, bringing the Federal Reserve System into place in America, and did what Thomas Jefferson said must never happen. He took the control of the money away from the people by taking it away from the Congress and gave it to a group of private individuals who have to pay taxes on the money they loan the government.
Think of an aspect of your life that dictates the limits of your freedom. Government and law enforcement, insurance and pharmaceutical companies, taxes, building permits, driver's licenses, and more. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of stipulations, regulations, and boundaries on our freedom. And out of the ones that were just mentioned, how many have you researched to find out whether they apply to you or not? Let's look at the forms of law that we currently acquiesce to. A common misconception among people is that any rule or regulation that governs them falls under one category: law. But there are many other forms of law that people abide by without realizing that they simply do not apply to them. Another misconception is that a nation's constitution gives us our rights. A constitution does nothing more than list the rights that we already have. We are born with inalienable rights, endowed to us by our Creator. They are not given to us, and they cannot be given away. The most a person can do with a right is choose whether to exercise it or not. Maritime admiralty law is what's known as the law of the water. It is superseded by civil law and only applies to those who willingly contract themselves into it. The definition of admiralty law is a body of private international law governing the relationships between private entities which operate vessels on the oceans. Let's look at how and why a form of law that is fashioned to govern corporations, businesses, and vessels has imposed its rule over natural human beings. This is all done through a form of word magic. A simple perversion of language has made it possible to convince people around the world that these alternative laws apply to them.
How do I begin to invite you on this journey? Is it by telling you about how we've been unwittingly cast into the mold of ancient spells from which we get our modern spelling? Cast just like a mold, or perhaps like a net, while caught like fish in the net of spells and spelling which have been cast, thus sentencing us to life sentences and the curses of this cursive, which are just terms, like serving a prison term. So we've been sentenced to the wards of these words, which can be deadly as swords if misunderstood. Or perhaps you missed the understanding of my terms, or possibly the sibyls of my syllables, or even the ancient rites of modern writing. We languish in our languid language in anguish ever since the ancient times of the English Angus and the phony phonetic phonics of the ancient Phoenician Phoenix. How is it that we've been cast into this mold of spelling? Could it be, possibly, a form of government? From the Latin root govern, to control, and ment or mentalis, meaning mind, to control the mind, as government. English as a tool of phonic phonetics by the phony Phoenician Phoenix reflects the creativity and cunning genius of the human race, which of course is not a race at all unless you're just another rat caught in this daily maze of this rat race, of this human race, against one another. We draw money from our banks, which are the edges of a river, which flows in currents to the sea, which is why it's called currency, because cash flows, like pyroclastic ash flows, to the sea, which is why we can trace back our roots of modern trade to the ancient Phoenician trade routes, and why our mundane weekdays seem to keep us in a perpetually weak daze, until we are so weakened that we barely make it to the weekend. So each day we routinely awake in the morning, which is a Monday morning ritual, conversely conversing a morning at a wake for the dead. And thus the Bible speaks that the dead shall walk the earth. So it appears that they already are, without even knowing it, just by the strange language of which they know not the true origins and what their words mean in etymology. And thus the significance and the signs of the sins in signification of their signatures on these dead legal fictions, such as IDs, mortgages, or mortgages, meaning death pledge, bills, etc., because our citizenship.
One of the predominant beliefs in modern culture is that licenses, permits, registrations, and other forms of documentation are required to operate motor vehicles, use public roads, build structures and establishments, engage in free enterprise, and much more. Sadly, these beliefs are based on little to no investigation whatsoever, and are false. This belief structure is perpetuated by maritime admiralty law. This form of law was originally created to govern ships docking in foreign nations for the import or export of products and resources. It deals with banking and merchant affairs, not civil affairs. When a product is taken off of a ship and brought into a foreign land, that nation takes custody of the resource and accounts for it with a certificate. That certificate marks the birth date of that product in the custody of the respective nation. Think of why it is supposedly required to have a certificate of live birth in the first place. The Barron's Dictionary of Banking Terms defines a certificate as a paper establishing an ownership claim. So right there, we notice that everyone with a birth certificate is defined as being owned. People are used as collateral with other nations because the U.S. is bankrupt. The United States declared bankruptcy on March 9th of 1933. At this point, the U.S. began taking out loans from a private, non-government affiliated corporation called the Federal Reserve. With no money to pay back the loans, the United States began using the citizens as collateral. All birth and marriage certificates are literally warehouse receipts. Just look at the similarities of warehouse receipts and birth certificates. Both document the date of issue, a serial number, registration number or receipt number, a description of the product, and an authorized informant to notify the appropriate government agency. With all of this information being readily available, the majority of people are unaware of their involvement with maritime admiralty law. This is possible through the manipulation of language. This admiralty law changed the meaning of the word person from a natural living person to a corporation. Driver's licenses, vehicle registrations, auto insurance forms, building permits, gun permits, work permits, tax filing documents, birth and death certificates, traffic citations, and many other forms of documentation that were once believed to be absolutely necessary only apply to persons or corporations. Upon signing such a legal document, you are indirectly waiving your rights under the Constitution and lowering your status to that of a corporation that is created with the same exact name as you. The only way to reconcile your true name from the name of the corporation is to take notice that the corporation has its name in all capital letters. This is known as capitis diminutia maxima. You may take notice that your driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, insurance cards, and more use all capital letters to legally represent the corporation with your name, not you. The corporation is known as an artificial person, whereas you, the human being, are known as a natural person. This deception goes even deeper when it comes to the courts that we attend. When showing up to court, you will notice that there are seats for witnesses behind a wooden fence or barrier. The defendant must cross through the entrance to the other side of the barrier where the plaintiff and judge sit. This act symbolizes the boarding of a ship. At this time, Business can be conducted in maritime admiralty law. The judge, acting as captain or banker, is responsible for settling the balance between the two sides. This is why there is always a monetary value involved in any court case. The captain is simply dealing with banking and merchant disputes. Once the balance is paid, the case is closed. To turn the court case away from admiralty law where your rights are not protected, you must avoid agreeing to represent the artificial person. This is done by stating that you are the natural person. You don't have a first or last name because those imply corporate title. In a court case, you may state that the court takes judicial notice of your honor's oath of office. Every judge must take an oath of office to practice law, yet you must make it clear to the court and the jury that the judge is acting as judge and not banker. Remember that you are a natural human being of the earth. You are not governed by anything but your own consciousness. Laws are created within a society. The society that created the laws we see being enforced today is called the Law Society. Yet the most beautiful part of this entire deception is the fact that we are not part of the Law Society, so their laws do not apply to us.
Judges, lawyers, and law enforcement officers, they're all part of a society. Within that society, they've created their own language that's deceptively similar to English. They have these little things called statutes, acts, and regulations that seem like laws, but they really only apply to those within their society. So that basically means all the traffic violations, minimum age requirements, and everything except for damage to another person or their property doesn't really apply to the natural person.
Laws only apply to those within the Law Society. The game being played is an illusion. You can simply choose to open your eyes and reclaim the freedom that you were born with, bound by nothing but the limits of your imagination. These are just a few examples of assuring that your rights are being protected. By far, the most important line of defense against this deception is to be aware of the perversion of language, and be absolutely aware of how you form your beliefs and concepts. In all forms of the perversion of language, there is a mirror reflection of this in the microcosm of the psyche.
And the problem I see with humanity today is we don't truly know ourselves anymore. We have the 9-to-5 job, we have the house, the children, the bills, the television, the hobbies, and the errands that we run every single day, and we eventually begin to believe that this is who we are. But who are we beneath the job title, beneath the status of mother or father, theist or atheist, Republican or Democrat, black or white, man or woman? Who are we? Who are we deep down inside? We don't know, because every time we hear an answer that we don't want to accept about ourselves, we deny it. We'll pass it off and project it onto somebody else and judge them for it. This is repression. And we see what repression can do to us on an individual level, but what about on a collective level of humanity? What happens when the whole world refuses to see what they truly are on the inside?
Please look into this topic further if it sounds interesting to you and you are starting to actually see the connections between how all languages have the same roots back in ancient traditions. And this has been going on for thousands of years, which is why they included it in the Bible and said, let us go down and corrupt their language that they may not understand one another. So that's how it's been done for thousands of years. I'm not the one doing it right now. I'm just showing you how it's been done so that you can actually see the connections between these words that we would deem as homophones, which they're homophones, which come from the phony Phoenician phonetics of phonics and how words sound, because that's the magic in it. That's where the magic comes in. Because if you don't see the connections and you're lost in the scholarly dictionary rather than the esoteric dictionaries, that hide the true meanings in the way it sounds, so that you'll pass it off as just coincidence, and you won't look deeper into where these words come from and what they actually mean. Like how Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, or the alphabet, became the Greek alphabet and then became the modern English alphabet. So that is where this modern English language comes from, which is used to control commerce over the seas, and thus the banking system, and thus keep us in ignorance of how it's all connected. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching this video. Please feel free to share it. Please share this information and the links below. Please research further into this topic. I will include you more resources if you need those to get started into how this language, word spells and spelling, has been going on, and how it's abracadabra. I create what I speak. And I'll close with a quote from Philip K. Dick. The basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use the words. And this has also been going on since for thousands of years in slavery. How if a slave master can control and corrupt the slave's language, their true language, that they will no longer understand the terms that the master is using, so that they could actually be free. And so this is how the master uses control to keep the population subservient to the master. And this has been going on for thousands of years, and still is, through our modern language and through our court system and through commerce. Because the English language is also known as legalese. It's the language spoken in all major modern court systems, because it's used for control, because people don't know how the language is used and what it means.
The world is a prison of words. The beginning of wisdom is to call things by their proper names. Of all the tools we have invented, words are the most powerful, the most productive, and the most dangerous. Words can classify, identify, conceptualize, abstract, beautify. But words have a darker side as well. Words can organize rational similarities, but words can also create false divisions. Us versus them. Citizen versus immigrant. Tyrant versus leader. Terrorist versus freedom fighter. Money versus paper. Through the slippery genius of language, crimes can be redefined as virtues, virtues as vices, enslavement as obedience, brute hierarchies as society, assaults on children as discipline. Euphemisms, misdirections, reversals, and outright lies infest our minds, bewildering, confusing, and isolating us. If we are to change the downward spiral of our world, we must escape from the fog of false words to the reality of reason and truth. Just think of the words that surround you that have no connection to anything real or tangible or true or good. You say you are an American, a Canadian, Danish, Iranian, or Australian. What is that? What is a country? A country is land, water, plains, and mountains, and something called borders that exist only in our minds, in drawings, in words. A beach is where the ocean meets the land, a real division. A country is a color on a map, an imaginary enclosure of legal containment. Countries arise when warlords run up against other warlords they cannot conquer, or when they have mostly finished killing off or enslaving the indigenous population. Countries are the chalk outlines of bodies, of ancient and modern crimes. Countries are the fences around farms, designed to keep you, the citizen, in place. When you go from one country to another, what changes? Not the color of the sky, your hairdo, or the laws of physics. No. All that changes are the enforced rules called laws, and the rulers who are legally allowed to enforce them. Countries are regions where the power of particular political rulers holds sway. They are land controlled by governments. When you say, "I am an American," what you're really saying is that you are ruled by the American government. It would be more accurate to say, "I am the property of the American government," or "proud livestock of the English tax farm." If dairy cows could talk, they would say, "I am owned by Farmer Jones," or "I am kept on the Jones farm." How is it different for you? This is the great danger of words. Countries are places where a tiny minority can use force to make you obey their words, called laws. In a country, you must obey the millions of constantly changing words, or you will be kidnapped and caged. It doesn't matter how many words there are, or whether it's even possible to know them all. You can be locked up for disobeying the unknowable at any time. These magic words can convert people from honest citizen to evil criminal at the stroke of a pen. In 1933, in America, it was legal to own gold and illegal to drink alcohol. The next year, it was legal to drink alcohol and illegal to own gold. Who alone has the power to do this? The state. The state is a group of individuals with a monopoly on the legal use of violence. And it is only words that blind us from seeing this basic truth. Words have the dangerous power to obscure the moral reality of the state. The word law sounds better than force. Social contract sounds better than enforced obedience. Taxation sounds better than theft. Central banking sounds better than counterfeiting. Corporation sounds better than legal immunity. Arrest sounds better than kidnapping. National debt sounds better than selling off the unborn. Democracy sounds better than mob rule. Public school sounds better than forced indoctrination. Sorry, what's that? You say you are free because you live in a democracy?
I was wondering if anyone, or if I might be able to speak to like the judge or someone that might know something about it. What it is I looked up there's something called the UCC filings on there, and it's all junk. Well, I looked it up, and what it is, UCC is the Uniform Commercial Code. It's a registry that all...
So, this is all junk.
Well, do you have a birth certificate?
Well,
Do you have a birth certificate? Well, so do I, and I looked up, there's a number on the back of the birth certificate. It's a red, like a 5-digit number, and I looked up what that number is, and it goes to the New York Stock Exchange. And so it...
I don't know. This is all junk. This is just garbage stuff.
Well, have you looked it up?
No.
Well, I have, and the birth certificate, it goes to the New York Stock Exchange, and the number on the back of it, if you look it up, it's being...
Go over to the Bulverde Police Department and talk to them.
I was just over there. I just talked to them, and they told me to come to y'all.
It really looked like it's part of the company, really.
Okay. But it is something that's listed on the stock exchange as K...
Yeah, it does pull up under that.
And does it have a value associated with it?
Yes, but I don't think this is correct. I don't even think that it actually... I mean, it's saying that it's $1 million, which is not right.
Why would that be incorrect in your estimation?
Well, because it's showing underneath that 0%, and it's not showing anything that it closed on.
I see.
So if it existed, it would have closed on an amount from yesterday.
But it's saying that it is on the stock exchange, and that's claiming that it's $1 million in value?
Yes. But I honestly don't think it's correct. I've never seen something like this before. So.
Okay.
There's a couple other letters too. I don't know if this is right or not. At the very end of part of the description, it says PVT.
Private.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is that? That's at the end of the 5?
No, it actually is in the description that comes up after I enter in the number.
Oh, is there anything else in the description?
Yeah, in fact, I'll give you the whole thing here. It's UPL-OP2, tomorrow's date.
Did you say 1 pin?
Yes,
Okay.
Or not tomorrow's date, but January 10th, 2009.
So it says, 110. Is it spelled out, or is it the number?
It's the number, it's numerical.
Okay, so 110-2009?
Yes.
Okay.
And after that, there's in the /11.
Okay. /11-PVT.
Yes, and in the beginning, the UPL-OT.
Gotcha. Very interesting.
And there's one other thing that I can look under.
Yeah.
I found part of the description a little bit lower down in the page. It refers to BOM.
BOM? B as in boy?
Yeah. B as in boy, O as in Oscar, M as in Mike.
Okay.
And it says it's Power Shares DB-based metals.
Power shares what?
D as in Delta, B as in Bravo, base metals.
ACE? ACE?
B-A-S-E.
B-A-S-E.
Like baseball. Base.
Okay. D base metals?
Power Shares D.
No, this is nothing. I mean, it's nothing.
I mean, what it is it relates to every single person, you, me, because our birth certificate is being traded on the New York Stock Exchange as a security. It's been monetized, and it comes from the Federal Reserve Bank, which is actually privately registered under the Uniform Commercial Code Registry. And so every form of identification that comes from the birth certificate is also monetized. And it's being traded on the New York Stock Exchange as a private security. So it's So it's obviously not a public service, is what it is. It's a private, when we're basically commodity. So, I mean, is there like a supervisor or someone that I could speak to?
No, because this office wouldn't have any jurisdiction or anything over any of it. So there's no action we could take, no nothing. I mean, all you could do is provide information, and there's nothing anybody here can do about that information. So I don't know,
Well, but we can, because it relates to you and me and your children and your family.
None of us here want to take any action or anything.
Order followers. These are the people who keep this system of slavery in place. Okay? They're the people who keep this system of slavery in place. Let me just say this again. Order followers are the people who keep the existence of slavery in place. Not the ruling class, not the masters, not the so-called elite, which aren't the elite of anything but the bottom of a trash can. Okay? The people who keep slavery in place are the people who willfully follow their orders. Nobody wants to hear that. And people will hate you for saying it. Following orders means, by definition, doing what you are told to do without judging for yourself whether or not that action that you are being ordered to carry out is actually right or wrong. That's the definition of following orders. I mean, can anybody refute that? Is that not the actual definition of following someone else's order? By definition, if you're following the order, you're given the order and then you just act. You just do it because you're following the order. You don't sit there and go, is what that person told me to do right? Do I have a right to do that? Is that moral? Should I do that because, you know, it's okay and it doesn't hurt somebody else? Or should I not do that because it actually does cause harm? It's not what an order follower does in their mind. An order follower says, yes, sir, and follows the order. That's why it's called an order follower. That's why it's called following an order. So that's the definition of what an order follower is. It's not my perception of what an order follower is. It's the actual definition of order following. Okay? If an individual, this is key to understand, if an individual is performing the task of following orders, by definition, that individual cannot be exercising conscience. Since, by definition, exercising conscience means that one is willfully choosing through their free will for themselves right action over wrong action. So the concept of following orders is completely polar opposite to the concept of exercising conscience. You cannot be doing the same things simultaneously. It's impossible to do those two things simultaneously. They are contradictions in terms by definition. Okay? Most people don't grasp that. Okay? By definition, if you're following orders, you cannot be actually exercising conscience, which involves free will choice based on the knowledge of right and wrong. Here's what order following gets us as far as a nation is concerned. You know, not that we're not already there, not that these people already didn't take us. Because we're taken by them already, covertly. They took us through the school systems. They couldn't beat us militarily. So they said, well, let's send our ideologues over there and get into the minds of their children. And if you don't believe that's what happened, you're very, very, very naive. Not only the Nazis, but the communists as well. Because really, it's all just forms of socialism. That's what feudalism is. Worldwide socialism is, there's no such thing as private property. State owns everything. Rights don't exist. Property rights don't exist. Everybody's a feudal serf again. It's called neo-feudalism. I don't care which branch you come at it from. You want to come at it from the left, that's called communism. You want to come at it from the right, that's called National Socialism. Communism, international socialism. They're both the same force. It's called feudalism. Let's just call it what it is. It's called feudalism, which is in itself just another euphemism for slavery. They want neo-feudalism, which is the New World Order of slavery. Okay? And it's already here. It's not something that's coming. It's here now. The object is to get out of it. This is the result of following orders. That's what following orders gets to society. Following orders should never be seen as a virtue. Following orders is evil. I don't care whether you're, I don't care if somebody who is considered a holy man gives me an order and I follow it, I've just committed an act of evil, as far as I'm concerned. If I'm acting based on solely what somebody else has told me to do, that's evil. There's no morality in it at all. At all. At all. It's not a virtue. It's evil. Okay? Let me just make that so abundantly clear and state it so unequivocally. There's no such thing as any possible moral following of orders. The two terms are contradictory. All right? I was just following orders is never a valid excuse or justification for immoral criminal behavior, and this lame attempt to abdicate personal responsibility should never be accepted as a valid excuse for such behavior. And why it's done is through justification. And again, that means to create a right, from jus, meaning right or law, and the Latin verb facere, which means to make or to create. And this is what they say. I was just following orders. I was just doing my job. I was shutting down your protest. You don't have a right to speak. The politicians commanded me so. So I just came out and I was just doing my job, hitting you with a sound cannon. You know, just doing my job, just following my orders. It's a justification. You're a criminal. There's nothing moral in that. There's nothing virtuous in that. It's called criminal behavior, criminal activity. And what they do is try to create it into a right, make it into a right by a justification. And nobody should ever accept their justifications. Because you know what their justifications is? You know what they are? It's called a 100% crock of bull that is a complete lie. It's a lie. They're just straight up looking you in the face and saying, I'm not responsible for that. I just did it, but I'm not the one who's responsible for it because I was acting on orders. Well, see, this defense didn't work as the Nuremberg defense, and nobody in America should be accepting it. Nobody in America should be accepting it because they believe in the legitimacy of authority and government through mind control. That's what they believe it. They believe there's legitimacy to it. Most people actually believe that there's legitimacy to this criminal behavior because a class of people calling themselves government have magically been imbued and gifted with such rights, quote unquote. They believe they have rights other people don't. They themselves believe it, but worse is that the people who are actually affected by that criminal behavior, they believe they have the authority to do it. Gandhi said, you assist an evil system most effectively by obeying its orders and decrees. An evil system never deserves such allegiance. Allegiance to it means partaking of the evil. A good person will resist an evil system with his or her whole soul, which means saying no.
But we're basically commodity. Our lives are being traded on the New York Stock Exchange.
There's nothing we can do about that. So
I'm not asking you to like file it or anything. I mean, if y'all just want to look it over. I know, but I mean, I was wondering if maybe you could pass it on to the judge. And
I am the judge.
You are the judge?
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing we can do.
So you weren't aware of the Uniform Commercial Code?
Oh yes, I'm very much aware of it.
So you've been aware of it?
Yes, but at any rate.
And you've been sending people to jail over debts and fines that.
So there's nothing we, it's good information, but there's no action that we can do out of this office. Or you might want to go to New Braunfels.
Oh, I just went to New Braunfels as well.
Go a step above us or something like that.
Well, it's essentially the people have the right to decide, who their governance is, and
that's true.
And the people have obviously spoken if we know what's been going on, and so now it's no longer a secret. Just letting you know that it's no longer a secret, okay?
Yeah.
Just as long as y'all know, y'all might want to pass this around.
We have a bulletin board. We can put it on the bulletin board. That's
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, because it relates to your children and obviously people like me and your family and your parents, and I mean, it relates to all of us. It's not right. I mean, and if y'all apparently knew what the UCC is, and that it's a corporation, that the government is also operating under Uniform Commercial Code, that it's a corporation as well, and that we're all commodity being traded, monetized on the New York Stock Exchange, it's obviously something that can't continue, and it's not going to continue.
We'll post it up here, and you can, I guess, keep on passing the word on.
Okay. All right.
Okay?